It is so good to see all of you here this morning. Such a beautiful time to be together. You know, the rain may be coming and maybe a little dreary outside, but it is exciting to be together, to worship God together, and to be getting ready for VBS this month. It's such an exciting time, and just to warn you, we did notice we have some animals leaping from the trees already. Don't worry, that's just because the tape is not as sticky as we would like. Now, I don't know how your family was when you were growing up. I don't know what your experiences were, but I know that there were times when I got on my mother's last nerve. Right? And there would be times when she would say, "Okay, will you please just go outside?" Whatever it was I was doing, whatever noise I was making, whatever activity I was participating in inside, she'd had enough of it. And she said, "Will you please just go outside and play? Whatever you do out there, I don't really care. Just go outside," right? And we had a big enough place outside of the house where there was room for me to run and play and do lots of fun things. And often my nephews would be over and we would be outside playing around outside. And so because of that, I think that one of the side effects of that was the fact that as I grew up, I always had an appreciation for what was outside, what was outdoors in God's creation. I have always had an appreciation for nature around me. And when we talk about appreciating God's creation, much of the time we are talking about the kinds of things that we see that are just incredible, amazing parts of what God has created around us, whether that is something like Horseshoe Canyon, which you see here is out in Arizona. Or you see waterfalls like these. This is the Triple Falls over in DuPont State Forest over in the western part of North Carolina. Or if you see the sunrise, if you're up crazy early next to the beach. Or if you enjoy more naturally, the sunset over the waters of the ocean. And you get to enjoy that. We see so many things around us in God's creation that are just beautiful and amazing things. And it just is such an encouraging reminder of how awesome our God is and how wonderful of a creator He is. However, sometimes I think we forget about another part of God's creation that is every bit as amazing, every bit as wonderful, every bit as beautiful, and that is the incredible creatures that God has put in this world with us. And so many times, we just walk right past them, drive right past them. We don't give it a second thought unless you just happen to be visiting the zoo, right? That's the one time where you're really zoned in. You're really focused on the animals that are in God's creation. But this morning, I think it's important for us as we begin our journey this month and as we begin to talk about God's amazing animals. What we're going to do the rest of this month for VBS on Sunday evenings is we're going to be looking at some of the stories, the events that are described in Scripture that include animals in some way, where animals play a key role in the events of that story. But this morning, I really want us to focus on that middle word that you see up here on the screen, amazing. Because there are some amazing, incredible, wonderful things in the creation that God has given to us in the animal kingdom. And I want us to start where it all began in Genesis chapter 1. Let's read together Genesis chapter 1, starting with verse 20. We're going to be reading essentially the account of the fifth and sixth day here in the creation account. Starting with verse 20, we read, "And God said, let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the heavens." And so God created the great sea creatures and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarm according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth. And there was evening and there was morning, the fifth day. And God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, livestock and creeping things, and beasts of the earth according to their kinds. And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to their kinds, and the livestock according to their kinds, and everything that creeps on the ground according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. How quickly and easily sometimes I think we pass by that statement, that God saw that it was good. What He has created for us in this world, what He has surrounded us with in His creation is good. And He acknowledges that here. And it's such a good reminder to us of how good this creation is. And so what I wanted to do this morning is take just a little bit of time talking about some of the more amazing, incredible things that God has surrounded us with in this world. For example, I'm sure this is some of your favorite creatures in the world, right? The electric eel. Now imagine some of you first see this and you say, that's too much like a snake, let's move on. I don't even want to think about it. But the electric eel is an amazing creature. The electric eel has 3 pairs of muscular organs that make up most of its body. And it is organized in such a way where these muscles and these nerves send these electric pulses just so down through its body so that it can emanate that electrical pulse from its body. Now, it can do that such a way that it's either just a slight pulse that you can notice, all the way up to a 600-watt electric shock. And for those of you that are not electricians, that's powerful. It's enough to stun a horse. So this is a powerful electrical surge that can come from this creature. Now, why in the world would such a creature have something like that? Well, they use this electric pulse, this electricity, for various reasons. 1, as a defense mechanism against predators that might attack it. 2, in order to stun its own prey as it desires to eat. But they also use it to communicate with other eels, or other electric eels. Now, I want you to think for a minute about the times that you have been using a flashlight before your phone became your flashlight, okay? Right? When you use a flashlight and all of a sudden the light goes out and, I just got to replace the batteries. And then you put the new batteries in. Say you've got one of those big mag lights and then you've got 4, 5, 12 batteries in it, whatever it is. And you put all the new batteries in and then you turn it on and nothing happens. And you shake it a little bit because that always works. And then, maybe something's wrong with the bulb. You mess around with it a little bit. And then finally, you're thinking, well, something must be wrong maybe with the batteries or something. So you dump them all out. And what happens, you realize that one out of all those batteries you put in was in the wrong way, wasn't it? Happens a lot, or it used to. All it takes is one battery to be put in the wrong way, and that electricity doesn't work the right way. The current doesn't flow properly, and that flashlight will not work. That's the way the muscles and nerves in the electric eel work. They are lined up perfectly to produce this electrical current. And yet, modern science wants us to believe that this just happened by accident. Modern science tells us that this was just an evolutionary development. But what we know is that this is an amazing, incredible creation by an amazing creator. It was a design. Never mind the fact that all of this has to line up just perfectly to work properly, but also that this eel in particular has extra layers of of fat to prevent it from being electrocuted by its own electricity that it produces. Sure, that was just an accident. Yeah, right. What about flying squirrels? What do you know about flying squirrels? Well, the one thing that we know for sure is that they don't actually fly. They don't fly the way that birds do or anything like that. They glide through the air. And so flying squirrels, they have this extra flap of skin or fold of skin called a patagium that allows them to glide through the air. And they can glide up to 500 feet. You realize that's approaching 2 football field lengths that these squirrels can just glide through the air. Humanity for a long time has desired to fly for some reason. And we have created all kinds of ways to do so. And in more recent history, they have created these wing suits that allow you to do something very similar to a flying squirrel, right? If you decided to jump out of a perfectly good airplane and glide through the air, you can use one of these wing suits and do something similar to a flying squirrel. Now, it takes a lot of time and a lot of engineering and a lot of resources and a lot of trial and error and a lot of failures to get to this point where finally, after maybe some people even got hurt in the process, in testing, mankind was able to design something that works just right so that even you can glide through the air. And yet modern science wants us to believe that this takes incredible engineering and time and resources and a design, but this just happened by happenstance. We know that's not true. We know that there's a designer behind this incredible design that allows this creature to glide through the air. What about the elephant? There's so many things that we could talk about when it comes to elements. One of the things that, of course, that everybody notices the first time that you get to see an elephant in person, even from a distance, you notice just how enormous they are. An elephant can be up to 22,000 pounds and up to 13 feet high. And yet, they can run up to 30 miles per hour. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that incredible? Everything about an elephant is just enormous, right? Their heads, their skulls are enormous. Their hearts inside them are so large and so heavy that it's comparable to the average 7-year-old human. Think about that. Their stomachs are huge and can hold huge amounts of food that can be stored for long periods of time. Their tusks grow up to 10 feet long and weigh up to 200 pounds. They even have big babies. Think about the biggest baby that you heard about. An elephant child, an elephant baby, weighs up to 250 pounds at birth. Elephants are just big. They're so big. But one of the most amazing things about an elephant is their trunk. Some have said that the trunk of an elephant is perhaps the most versatile and unique feature amongst all creatures in the world. There are tens of thousands of muscles working together in an elephant's trunk. The trunk by itself can weigh up to 300 pounds. And it has so many uses. Of course, we see many of those uses in all the videos that we watch, and when you go to the zoo, you see them, they'll pick up their food with it, and they'll use it to eat their food, and they may be drinking the water using their trunk, or they can spray the water out of their trunk, or they can use their trunk even like a snorkel as they go through the waters. But their trunks are also incredibly powerful. With all those muscles built into it, the trunk is used sometimes in fighting amongst themselves, but also they can use it to defend themselves. They can swing that trunk and use it like a 300-pound battering ram if they need to, or they can even pick up perhaps their predator, depending on the predator itself, because it can pick up. An elephant can pick up with its trunk up to 3 times the weight of their trunk. So if that elephant, its trunk weighs up to 300 pounds, it can pick up something up to 900 pounds and just toss it aside. Another incredible and unique creature in God's creation. An amazing design with an amazing designer. And as you think about these examples and others that you probably already know of, several others, and have been thinking of them instead of listening to me. As you think about all the incredible creatures that are in God's creation, one question might come to mind. Why? Why did God create something like an elephant? It's so weird looking with that big trunk. What's the point? Why did God create dozens of types of squirrels, and one of them happens to be the one that can glide hundreds of feet through the air? Why did God create so many different kinds of animals around us in this world instead of just 1 or 2 or 3? Well, the answer to that lies in the same reason that we have different types of flowers in our creation. It's the same reason we have different kinds of trees in our creation. Same reason that we have different types of plants in the creation and rock formations in this creation. It's because we have a God who is not only a creator, not only a designer, but a God who appreciates beauty in this world. And he created beautiful things for us to appreciate in the world around us, to show us his nature, to show us what kind of God we serve. And so, with that in mind, as you think about all the types of creatures that exist in the world, I was thinking, not everybody seems to appreciate animals. Not everybody wants to have a cat or a dog at home, or a bird, or a ferret, or a fish, or a hamster. And yet, I would suggest that all of God's creation, all of the animals that exist, the variety that exists, is so that whoever you are, there's something for you to appreciate. Whether you like the cute and playful types of animals, or if you appreciate more the strong and powerful animals that roam the earth, or if you really like the majestic and graceful animals, whether they are on sea or land, or just plain goofy animals. There is something in the animal kingdom for you to appreciate, for you to enjoy, and to remind you of our beautiful, wonderful, amazing Creator. Psalm 104, verse 24 reads, "O Lord, how manifold are your works! in wisdom. Notice, he says, in wisdom have you made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. God has made so many amazing creatures. It is difficult, I think, it is difficult to imagine what it would be like without them here. God did not design us to just go to work, go to school, pay bills, go through these motions of life. That's not really what life is all about. God put us in the midst of a creation that is to be enjoyed by us. And it's there to remind us of who He is. And that includes the amazing animals that He's given to us. And I hope that the rest of this month, as we go through and as we look at the examples of creatures that we see in Scripture, that we'll continue to be amazed by God's creation and amazed by the beauty and wonder of our Creator. Maybe you've taken for granted a lot of things in your life, and you have passed by so many of these amazing creatures without giving it a second thought. And I would say that if you take the time to consider what God has put into this world, it will enrich your relationship with Him. Maybe your relationship with Him is not what it needs to be today because you're struggling with temptation and sin, or you're struggling with stress in this life. Let me assure you that the same God who created this incredible world that is around us, and the same God who made these amazing creatures that surround us in this world, is the God who cares about you and your life and the things that you're dealing with. And if you will take it to Him, casting all your anxieties on Him, He will care for you. He will get you through it, whatever it is you're dealing with. And if we can help you with as well, we would love the opportunity to do that. We'd love to pray with you this morning. We would love to give you whatever kind of encouragement you need this morning. Or maybe your relationship with God is one that really needs to take those first steps forward today, because you've been living in sin and you have been away from Him, and you know that you need to be reconciled with God through the waters of baptism. And you need to be brought to Jesus today and commit your life to Him and be baptized so that your sins can be washed away. If you need to begin a new life in Jesus today, I hope that you won't allow anything to stand in your way, and that you'll come forward right now while we stand and while we sing.